Hello, everybody. My name is Jean-Élie, and I'm here with my colleague, Gilles.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you.
And we are very excited to present to you today the inventory highlights. Okay? So when we say inventory, of course, it's three apps. It's purchase, inventory, and barcode. As you know, the version V20 is coming soon already. But our developers and product owners have already worked really hard with a lot of really cool features and improvements. And this is the goal of today. We will introduce this to you. So we will go over the new features. We will also make a little demonstration directly in the database if needed. And of course, at the end, answer your question. You will have access to this presentation, which will contain all the new features. For the sake of time, today we will only focus on the main ones that we think are really critical and game changers. So here you will have three links to by version 19.1 to 19.3. We will work by apps. So first, Gilles will start with all the purchase highlights. Then I will go over the inventory highlights. Finally, the SendCloud and barcode highlights. And then we will go over the features that we are currently working on and a few Q&A at the end. Okay, so we can directly start with the purchase. What's new in purchase?
Thank you very much, Jean-Élie, for the introduction. So we start with purchase, which is one of our most sold apps. So I'm sure plenty of you are interested in showing what we are going to show. So we have just a slide to let you know what we will see, but I'm directly deep diving into the database. This is the right one. And I show you what's new in the intermediary versions. Okay, so I jumped into purchase. And here, if I create a new RFQ here, I can choose a vendor, a product. Let's take, for example, the computer. And here, whatever quantity, price, we can see there is the order deadline and the expected arrival. This is not different. But when I confirm my RFQ, over here, I can start seeing over here my expected arrival column and my promise date. I have something hidden here, which is a promise date. Now we have two dates. We have one date for the expected arrival. It's when you expect the good to arrive, which can change over time depending on the news you receive from the supplier. And you have the promise date, what was promised upfront and which should not change, but can possibly change. But that's something usually fixed. So here, if you change the expected arrival to the 4th of June, for example, and if you save and go to the receipt, you see the schedule date is linked, the schedule date on the receipt is linked to the expected arrival on the purchase order. The two are linked, but this does not affect the deadline, which is linked itself to the promise date. So here, maybe let's say we agreed with the supplier because we decided that the delivery date should be different. So now I update the promise date to the 10th of June. I save. And so in the receipt, now I can see the deadline is there. So you can really manage these two dates separately, which is interesting because it will help you better calculate your on-time delivery ratio. And it for reporting, you can more easily see whether you've delivered on time as compared to the initial promise. Okay, regarding dates, maybe something I can show you directly also. If I choose, for example, here, let's take the best vendor. I take the computer product again. So here we can see the order deadline is June 2 and the expected arrival June 3. This is because we have a supplier lead time of 1 day. So the difference between the order deadline and the expected arrival is 1 day. So let's imagine some days go on, and so in the end we reach an order deadline that is in the past as compared to the day we are today. And so, of course, we know this is naturally to be more clear, that should be like that. We know it's not up to date anymore because we didn't confirm the RFQ yet, and we are already late. So we have now a small icon over here. We can click on, and what it does, it recomputes the order deadline as the date of today and the expected arrival as the date of today plus the supplier lead time. So this makes your data cleaner in a one click, so you can keep track of everything and you know what's late, what's not late, what you need to do, and you can manage your work that way. Did you like it?
Yeah, that's really cool. I think managing the dates can be complex, and that makes it much easier.
Yeah, that's true. Now I come back on my dashboard. Jean-Élie, do you have any preference between the RFQ dashboard or the purchase orders?
Yeah, RFQ. Lots of customers like to work from RFQ.
Yeah, that's true, because you have a lot of information there, and I think it's also because it's the one you reach by default. So what we realize is that many customers use indeed this RFQ menu, but there are some information which were available only in the purchase order menu. So we have brought two information over here in the RFQ menu, which is the billing status and the expected arrival. You also have the receipt status, and such that you can really pilot, you can manage your RFQs and purchase order directly from here. Of course, you can group by status, for example, so that you differentiate your RFQ and purchase order, and it's way more convenient. Everyone can really use it as it prefers. Something which is also super cool, look at this big list of RFQs. I'm at the end of the day and I want to select all of them. Maybe I will just remove a few ones, and I want to send my RFQs. I have worked my whole day, everything is ready. At the end of the day, I send it. Before, what you had to do is to do it one by one, which was not so time consuming, but we want to improve things always to make it simpler, to make it faster. And now you can select multiple RFQs and then click on actions and no, sorry, not merge RFQs, my bad. So sorry, I do it again. I select 3 of them and I do action and send by email, of course. Here you need to specify which email template you want to use. You select it to be sure you take the right one. Everything that is in blue is dynamic, so it will be supplier specific. Once you're ready with that, you click on send, boom. No worries, in this case, emails are blocked, so it's not going to reach anyone, but we will see in the chatter. If I check in my RFQ sent, if I check over here, I can see an email has been sent in the different RFQs, so that it can be now way faster. That's also a nice improvement, which I wanted to show to you. Last one may be related to RFQ specifically, even though here, I have to be honest, Jean-Élie, it's not working yet in 19.3. It was working in 19.2, but there has been kind of a regression, but it's going to be working really soon. When you select a purchase order as a priority one, you put a little star. When you confirm, so here it's linked to a purchase alternative, so let's keep the alternatives over here. But on the receipt is not the case, but it will be the case pretty soon. This will be starred also. So if your purchase order is starred, it's very likely that your receipt is also going to be starred, and so that's why we will star it automatically also. Of course, you can unstar it if it's not desired. A topic I want to reach now is the alternatives, is the purchase agreements. First, let's just check something which has changed. If I go to the settings.
Yeah, I had many customers complaining that it wasn't clear in the settings, sometimes how to find it. I think you improved that.
Yeah, now what's nice for me is that you have 2 different settings, because in Odoo, you know, there are so many features. You don't want to have a very complex version of Odoo with plenty of windows or menu you don't use. You just want to have what you need, what you use. And here we can use purchase agreements without alternatives or vice versa. And with these new settings, it's not only one setting, it's 2 settings, so that everyone can decide to display the one he is interested in. So this is new. And now when you go in the alternatives, so if I go back to purchase orders, if I go to an RFQ, which I will build from here, so I go to my vendor, for example, base vendor, and I create here my RFQ. 1 computer and maybe 2 smartphones. Okay, 2. I have a price here of 100 and 120. That's fine. And now I want to play with alternatives. These are there because we have activated the setting together. And when I create an alternative, the system will create all the products for another one. For example, let's take the IT seller. I create an alternative, and now I have my other purchase order, RFQ for the time being. We can see the older one over here. And what, of course, we want to do is to compare lines by lines. For that, let's put one price of 90 for the computer and a unit price of 280 for the smartphone. Expensive over here. I check the alternatives and I can click here on compare product lines. Now we have made this more clear so that we can really try to see what's interesting for us and make the right call. We have to decide from who we will buy the computer and from who we will buy the smartphone. So over here I can see pretty easily that the one here I can check in the company total, which is in the same currency, even if you have multiple ones. I can choose that one because it's the cheaper, for example. That's something I can do over here. And something new is that I can click on the purchase order if I want to go back on it, check specific information or whatever. And something I can do also, if here I want to check, choose that one, for example, I can also put a quantity over here as 0. It's editable. And now I can, for example, choose that one, and then it's chosen. Okay, so that's something new for purchase agreements, for alternatives, and it's been improved, and it's a good thing. Maybe about a warning and back orders. Sometimes we face cases where you don't have a back order, but like, who knows, you have decided there would be no back order.
Yeah, well, we didn't have any traceability of what happened.
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes it's clear. You know, if there is a back order, you have a picking and you have this traceability because something has been created. If there is never any back order, that's easy. You know there is no back order. There should not be a back order. That's the process. But sometimes, if I go to my operation types, sometimes you don't know. And you leave the decision maybe to the operator. And so here you decide to ask. Odoo should ask every time the operator whether there should be a back order or not. So let's do a new one. For example, from best vendor, I always take the same one. It's easy. I take the computer, let's say 4 units, for example, and I confirm. That generates a receipt. So I have here the operation type receipt on which I was just before. And here, let's imagine I should receive 4, but the supplier only had 2 in stock on hand, and so I receive first 2. So here I validate, and the system tells me, because of the configuration we just saw all together, whether I want to create a back order or not. If I decide to create a back order, now what's happening is that on the purchase order, there should be an was that a back order? I think I changed it by mistake, or no? It's ask.
No, just you accepted the back order. Maybe we can try.
Okay,
if
yeah,
you
I
don't
said
accept
there
the
is a back order.
order.
I should not make a back order. Sorry. Hopefully, I can rely on you. So let's take the
But
last
here
one.
it created a second receipt, which is the good
Yeah,
behavior.
but I made a wrong call, actually. So I duplicate my purchase order with 4 units. I made the receipts. Here, I just receive 2. And here, when I validate, I decide no back order. Because as I said, when you do create a back order, well, there is a transfer, so there is traceability. You know there is something to do, and you don't lose track. But when you say no back order, while it's not always the case, in that situation, you have this activity because otherwise you just lose the trace of everything. So actually it was not done on purpose, but it's a good example to show you when it appears and when it does not appear, because sometimes we need it, sometimes not. So that's, you have some traceability and exception, and you know you have to take an action. Okay. Do I have a time for a last feature for purchase?
Sure, of course.
Okay. So let me go back to my product. So you know we can type a menu from here. I select my beers. We're in Belgium and we have a lot of beers. So here, imagine you want to buy beers, and here I decided to apply some packaging to the beers. A pack of 6 or pack of 24, because sometimes you buy 1, buy 6, buy 24. I have different vendor price list over here with a different price for different packs. What's not super clear for me is which one is the cheapest. Okay, here the calculation is not that bad, not that difficult, but actually sometimes it might be more complex. So when I go on the purchase application, I select my best vendor. So here if I use a catalog and I take beers, what's new here is that even though this is a price by packaging, because in all the unit of measures we could use all the packaging unit of measures we had. It was the cheapest one. That's why it's the one provided here by default. But you still have the per unit price for that packaging so that you really can compare packaging by packaging. It's something super great, actually. It's not yet in 19.3, but I think it will be there in 19.4. I think it's already merged to be cross-checked, but you will be able to change here the packaging, the unit of measure, so that you can really decide when you use a catalog with which purchase unit of measure or packaging you want to use. Okay, that's a lot, I think. No?
Yeah, that's really nice.
I think now it's your turn to show me
Yeah, I can.
what's new in inventory.
I can see the purchase app is getting simpler and stronger, I think.
Yeah.
So now let's see what we have for inventory. Like Gilles, I will work by version. So I will show you the 3 main features by version. First, for 19.1, it's actually funny because usually we like to make Odoo more powerful in a way that to expand the possibilities, but here we decided to make it much simpler. So I don't know if you had that, but many customers complain, especially small companies, that the inventory app is too complex, managing the transfers, the physical inventory, the countings, everything. They just want it to be super simple.
That's
Did you have that case? We hear that a lot.
sometimes, but as inventory experts,
Of course.
that's not the customers we see the
Of
most.
course,
But yes, that's true.
the day-to-day customers may have that, and we have to fulfill that need. So we came up with something called a mini stock. Okay, mini stock is something totally new. It's to do inventory without the inventory app. Okay, so it cannot get simpler than that. If I sell, it goes -1 on my stock. If I buy something, it goes +1. Let me show you how this works. So here I am on a database that doesn't have the inventory app. You can see if I look for inventory, there's nothing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a product. Let's call it a chair. I will track it in the inventory. And let's say I have 20 in stock. That's it. I've done my inventory. It cannot get simpler than that, okay?
Mhm.
And now I will buy this chair. So I can still use the purchase app, of course. I think...
It's in French.
I'm still in French. Sorry about that. I will make a purchase order to my vendor. And I will buy my chair. Okay? Let's say we buy 1. Usually when you have the inventory app and you confirm the purchase request, the purchase order, what does it happen? It creates
A receipt.
a receipt.
Right.
Exactly. Here you see there is no receipt.
Oh.
However, there is a button called receive, in French, recevoir. We should switch this DB in English. And when I click on this, it's just going to notify me and the database that it's receipt. But I did that without using any
Yeah, you
receipts.
didn't go on the inventory application. You did everything from here.
Exactly.
Wow.
And now, of course, if I go on the chair, I can see that now I have 21 in stock. Okay, so inventory cannot get simpler than that. Now let's do it the other way around. I'm gonna sell to my customer a few chairs. Here, and I'm gonna sell 5. Okay, I confirm.
Mhm.
Again, no delivery created. However, I have a ship button. So are you good in mathematics calculation? Yeah. How much is
Yeah.
21 minus 5?
16?
16. Let's see if it's working right. When I ship it, my chair should go to
Oh.
16 in stock. Okay, that's beautiful. That's for the small companies that don't want a complex process. Meanwhile, while not having the inventory, we still have access on the product to the history of how much were purchased and how much
Mhm.
were sold.
Yeah.
So it's still quite powerful
Yeah,
without
yeah.
having the full app.
And I heard they are still going to improve it?
Yeah, so now we are actually in the process of integrating this mini stock feature with the other apps. So they already integrated it with the point of sale,
Mm-hmm.
e-commerce,
Mhm.
and I think now they're working on integrating it with the new valuation system.
Okay.
Okay, so it will be available for all types of customers across all apps. What do you think of this?
It's incredible. You have a lot with no effort at all. So I think indeed for many of our small customers, that's really could be a game changer.
I think so. I think it's really nice. Now, next feature I can show you, it's something that a lot of customers were asking that. You probably had the same requests. Customers sometimes want to backdate a transfer.
Mm-hmm.
So they already confirmed it, but they want to say that it happened maybe 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Before we couldn't do that, right? Well, right now, let's take, I'm back in the full inventory app, of course, and I got my internal transfer. I'm going to take a transfer that is already done.
Mm-hmm.
So the unlock button is not something new per se. We already had the unlock in the actions, but now it's more visible because now I have the unlock button here.
True.
Also, when I click on it, you see that there's a little icon here, a little widget that shows me that it's unlocked. And I can change not only the effective date, which is kind of a small revolution because before we absolutely couldn't do this. So I can say it actually was received.
But it was that already possible in 19.0, right?
I think so, but not. We didn't have the
button was not that clear.
The
That's
button
true.
here. And
no, don't show that. Too dangerous.
Okay. So also you can make sure not everybody has access to that, but you can also change the quantities in the transfer. So now I could say that, for example, we actually didn't receive 2, but we received 3. Once I've done my modifications, I can lock my transfer again. Normally, only the admins should have those type of accesses. Okay.
Yeah, hopefully.
So what else we have that came out in 19.1 for inventory? Concerning replenishment, actually. We used to have, and I'm going to create a reordering rule for this. Let's say here the blue stool. I'm going to say that I always want to have 15 blue stool in stock, but I can store up to 30. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say that actually in my stock today I have 15. Okay? No, sorry. 20 maybe. The idea is that I don't want to trigger here. On my blue stool, you see, since I want to only order when I reach 15, my reordering rule is not triggered yet because I have 20.
That's normal.
Before, there was the order to max button that allowed me to still order some in order to fulfill the full capacity of that product. Well, what we did, we just kind of removed that button and made the order button work the same. So if I click on order, it's going to do exactly the same. It's going to create a purchase order. Here, I assume it's this one, and now it creates an order. So we can still do order to max. It's just we remove the button, and the order button covers all cases.
Great.
Okay. So what else do we got?
I heard there was some changing, with the scrap model. It's been completely revamped, or it's a smaller change?
It's actually more of a technical change.
Okay.
So you see, in Odoo, we always like to have as less models as we can. The idea is always keep it simple. Before, the scrap model and the stock moves model were 2 separate models. So now we decided to leave the scrap as it is. Functionally, it's going to work very similar, but it's the same model behind. Okay. So if I go in inventory, I will still have my scrap menu here, and I can still scrap one of my stools if necessary. Maybe put a little scrap reason. Yeah, damaged. I think it already exists. Yeah. And I confirm. Except here, I'm not creating a new entry in a scrap model. I'm creating the entry directly in my stock moves, and I can see it here now that I have done a scrap. Okay, so make Odoo lighter, remove models, try to merge them. This is really what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and I think it's consistent with the fact they remove the scrap location and replace it with the inventory adjustment. So I think that's a logical move.
And while I'm on the scraps, there's actually something else, is that in 19.2, they now allow us to scrap a lot. We have a scrap action directly on the product lot.
Yep.
This is also something new related to scrap.
Yeah, makes sense. If you have like some return and the full lot is to be put into the garbage, you can scrap it from the lot.
Absolutely. We will try to always put the actions where they need to be to make your life easier.
Good.
Then, concerning replenishment, there's actually something new as well. Very simple thing, but on the product, you know that at any time you can always do a replenishment directly from the product. This way I don't have to get out, go in my purchase app or my manufacturing app. Well, before it was limited to the different vendors that you had price list for, vendor price list. They needed to be created in order to be available in that replenish button. Now they decided, why limit the customer? Odoo always wants to be very permissive, right? To offer as much possibility. So now you will see in bold the ones for which I have a vendor price list, but it will not limit me, and I will be able to buy or replenish this product from any other contact in my database.
Yeah.
Okay? Open the doors, always.
That's nice because I see more and more customers using that feature to replenish.
Yeah?
It's very simple.
Again, simplicity is key. What do we get else? Oh, we got a really nice case here. And I like this because I'm going to apply it to reverse logistics. So, it's a bit of a technical one, but before, the push routes had a limitation, meaning that they only worked with the destination location of the stock move, not of the stock move line. Okay, now I'm getting a bit technical, but it means that if one of the products did not follow the correct route and was sidetracked to another location on the stock move line, the push route would not be activated. Okay, it would not be triggered. Well, no, it is. This is a correction we did in 19.2, and it actually can be very powerful. So let me show you a case. Let's say that I buy my goods from my customer, and I have a 3-step inbound process. First, I unload the truck, I receive them, then I will have a quality inspection, and if they're not good, I will return them to my vendor. Okay? Let's try this.
So that means that all the products in one transfer do not need to follow the same route anymore?
Exactly. Each product can take his own route, and it will trigger the good push routes in the back. Okay. So here, I take my vendor, and I'm going to buy a computer and a chair. And you see, I'm in 3 steps receipts. So I have first the in for my 2 products. I need to have a serial number on my chair. I validate. It creates my next transfer, which is my quality check. This is the moment where I realize that actually my computer is okay, but my chair is not good. And here on the moves, I can directly say that it needs to go to return to vendor. This is a location that will trigger a new push with a return to vendor transfer to directly send it to my vendor.
And so you could do that also with the barcode application.
Of course, it applies to barcode as well. It just depends on which destination location I will send.
That's really nice.
Okay, so here, see when I will validate, when I will go to my next transfers, I don't have 1 transfers, but I have 2. One is to store my computer, which is because it passed the quality test. And the other one is actually already a return to vendor to ship it back to my vendor, and it already has the vendor on the contact.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Super.
So I think this is very powerful, and if you
And
have
this is
some
one case, but actually I suppose there are plenty of other
many
cases.
cases.
Yeah,
Here I
yeah.
used it to do a return, but it can also be within your warehouse.
That's a big change.
yeah.
Yeah.
With many possibilities behind.
Great.
No. Still 3 other features I want to show you.
Mhm.
Another one. Here we're taking something existing and applying it to more levels. We can now, you know that you could have packagings on the
Mhm.
product template. Here, for
Yeah.
example, the stool can be sold by pack of 6, but this tool actually has 2 variants
Mhm.
because it has 2 colors, red and blue. Well, now we can also add packagings on
Mhm.
the variant.
Oh.
So here, let's say that now my blue stool, for some reason, can be sold by pack of
Mhm.
24. Okay, only that color. This is something new. Before, the packaging was not on the variant.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
We can even check on the website, and you will see here that the red actually, but I think they're both on it.
Mhm.
But now I have on both. Oops. No. How do I get back?
Escape is not working. Do discard or save on the right.
Yeah, sorry, here. Yeah, here it didn't really show because both my variants were available in pack of 24, but you could have something specific. Finally, 2 more things. We have reviewed the return wizard. Okay, so before, in the previous version, when I sold something to my customer, for example, the computer, I would have my shipment that I will validate, and when I clicked on return, it's triggered a little wizard. That
Mhm.
wizard allowed me different possibilities, such as a return for exchange or normal
Mhm.
return. Well, we had the feedback that wizard was a bit confusing
That's true.
at time. So what we did, we simplified it. Now when you do a return, you just directly create the return. Okay, it's more by sequence. First, I will do the return, decide which quantity I want to return, and then once I've created the return, if an exchange is necessary, I can trigger my exchange. Okay, it's as simple as that. And here,
Quantity should be one, I think, simply.
Yeah.
And I saw something also I didn't know. You can validate if you want, but if you click on return over here,
sorry.
if you make another return, you have a return all button at the bottom right. So if you do that, it will automatically fulfill all the quantities from your initial transfer.
I think it will take all the quantities, from the original
Okay.
transfer, so you don't have to copy
Like
them.
before, but everything is centralized in a single.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's really good.
Okay, so we take existing feature, we always try to make it simpler for you. And finally, something very simple. In the inventory settings, we felt like on the hoods, the placeholder here was sometimes confusing to people,
Mhm.
whether you clicked on it or not. Did it mean I select all my warehouse or not? No, we simplified it, made it more user-friendly, more clear. So if you don't click, it doesn't apply to warehouses.
Mhm.
If you check the box, it applies to all warehouses. And if you want to only apply it to one warehouse, you just add the warehouses here.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think it was a bug in the previous version. And no, it's been fixed in 19.2. I think when you click, it's written choose warehouse because before it was written all warehouses, but it was actually applying to no warehouse.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
It was confusing.
Yeah.
And it took us a few versions to fix that.
Yeah. No, it's not.
So that's it for inventory.
Thank you.
Now we can move to maybe a few points about SendCloud.
That's still inventory. Yeah, I take the mouse. So SendCloud is an integrator for carriers. So we can integrate ourselves in Odoo with directly FedEx, DHL with some carriers, but we realize many of our customers use different carriers and it's difficult to maintain all integrations with all carriers. So we push a lot for integrations with platforms like SendCloud, which allow to directly connect to a lot of carriers very easily. A few new things about SendCloud. First, you can now print the labels in ZPL. So here, if I go to my delivery methods, over here, I have connected myself with SendCloud, and if I choose bpost at home, for example, or let's take a more international one like DPD home, and if you click on it over here, you see label format. You can decide now to make your labels in ZPL rather than in PDF, which is of course better if you want to automatically print it with your Zebra printer. That's something new. I will show how it's done. In the meantime, with another one. So if I choose one customer and I want to deliver one computer, with all the tests we've done, I'm sure we have some in stock. So here, if I do add shipping, if I choose my DPD at home, I get the rate. This method cannot be computed. Yeah, maybe I didn't put a weight on the computer. So inventory. Weight of 1 kilogram. So I save, I do it again, I add a shipping, DPD home, I get rate, and now it's working. So if I add it, now it's fine. I can confirm. Then I have, the purchases, I guess we have made some routes, but I don't know why there is a purchase automatically. There is some MTO dropship maybe.
I think I might have accidentally applied the MTO to all the warehouses.
That's not nice to do. Okay, no worries. So it's not really too important over here. But if I do, two things I want to show you. So if I put a quantity of 1, I put in pack here. Let's leave that empty. And then I validate it. So here I want to show you two things. Normally, because we are integrated with SendCloud, yes, we have directly the label which is there. So if I click on it, so here I'm in full screen, but so it will, although you have the Acrobat Reader sign over here, it's actually downloaded in ZPL because of the configurations we've made. And if I click on it over here, look, the package reference is now on the label for the carriers that allow it. So that's two improvements we've made over here with SendCloud. And there is another one, a last one, which is more important, I would say. So here, let me duplicate this one, and I remove the shipping method over here. I will choose the DPD Classic Service Point. So if you work with pickup points, before you were obliged to use it with the e-commerce, but now you can make sales orders, you can make deliveries directly with pickup points, and you see here you have the pickup points. You select the ones you want. It will create a delivery address in the system, which you will also be able to change afterwards. Because before, when you had the delivery pick point on your sale order from e-commerce, you could not change it anymore. Now you can use these service points, these pickup points from sales orders, from deliveries, of course, also from the e-commerce. But you can even change it afterwards if your customer calls and say you need to deliver it somewhere else. So this is really a nice improvement that you can use when you are connected with SendCloud, which is always also
I'm sure all the customers using SendCloud would be very happy about those improvements, especially the ones using a Zebra printer. Yeah,
that's sure, and I think there are more and more. SendCloud before was like just coming. Now it's really something that is in the product and used a lot by the customers. Good. So we finish with the last application for today, which is the barcode, which is a very important one because in the warehouses we know barcodes allow to work way better. So just three things I want to show you here. The fourth one, I will not show it, but it's working also. So the first one, I go back to my database, and if I go to my physical inventory, I normally had prepared, you can see here I have a chair and a table, and both have the same lot number. So it's not something that happens for all products, but it can happen. You have different products with the same lot or serial number. Before, when we went to the barcode, so here, how do I leave them? How do I leave the full screen? Okay,
here.
Yep. No, I think okay. Okay, but it's your computer. How do I? Do you have the? So console. Do you use that? I don't know the.
No, normally no.
Okay, so you'll have to trust me. Sorry.
If you go into the.
Okay, I can do it for me. Sorry, I'm not used to do that. So if I scan the A2, the lot number, now I can see for each product where I do have it. Before you just had the information for the first product that was met while searching. Now you have the two of these. Okay.
By the way, that's not ideal. Try not to have the same.
That's
serial
right.
number on two different products.
Yeah, it's not a best practice. You're totally right. Something else which is, I think, really nice. It looks like a very small thing, but when you go to your receipts, when you have a package in front of you, you're an operator. Most of the time, what's on it? It's maybe the supplier reference or your own commercial reference. But the number, the receipt number from your system is typically something you don't have on your package or on your product. So over here, now we can see both the receipt number and the purchase order number, which is more likely to be visible on the package such that you know what to scan and which one to choose. I think this is really interesting because when you have multiple receipts and you face this as an operator, you need to know which one to take. Of course, there are other tips and tricks we can use to find the right one, like scanning the product, for example. But this new information is something I'm sure people will like a lot. And something which is really great, I will go back to full screen. Something that is really great is, look, we make a purchase order. Here I will always take the same thing. Let me stop that. I need to do it again. So I take my best vendor product. I take, for example, one computer and one smartphone. One and one, okay, whatever the price. I confirm it. When I have my receipt, what I can do now is going to the stock move lines. Okay, it's in 3 steps, but let's say now we can put a destination package. Let's put, for example, pack 4, and here the same thing. You see? So I'm working in the office. I receive an email from the supplier saying, look, I will send you this and this products, maybe with this lot number, this serial number, and everything will be in one package.
Okay, so the supplier is already telling you in which packages
exactly.
the products are
maybe
going.
It sends an Excel file, or it tells you what products with which lot number, if there are, will be in which package. You can encode that manually. You could do an import, or there are other ways of doing it, but one way is to encode that. And when you go to the barcode application here, you know the system knows already in your reception that you will receive the package 4, and you can over here scan pack 4, and everything is scanned in one click. So if you have the information up front, you can encode everything so that the operator can receive way faster, which is something I think can be really, really interesting in some use cases. Got it?
Really nice.
Yeah. It's a nice one. And the last one, I said I can't show it, but untracked goods, so what old people on Odoo call consumable products, now can be scanned in packages, because sometimes you have a delivery in 3 steps, and in the first step you had to take 2 items, but then you decide to take a few untracked product consumables like balls that you add to it, and you want to scan it. So before what was happening is that in the next step, when you scan the package, because the untracked product was not in the package, it was creating a back order as if you didn't scan it. Now this is a use case that is working. It's a specific use case, but it was really creating issues for some of our customers, and now it's working fine. So I think we can really be happy with that. So to conclude this presentation before the Q&A, Jean-Élie, I will let you maybe told us which are the work in progress. So we are not a product owner, so we are not making it ourselves, but we had a call with them, and what do they plan to do in the coming weeks, months?
So before we move to the Q&A, we just wanted to let you know a bit what we are currently working on. Okay. So we cannot promise anything. We're working on it, but just so you know where we're going. So we, like I said, we already integrated mini stock with e-commerce and point of sale. Now we are working on integrating it with the valuation. There's also a big task that our teams are working on, is the new design of the labels. Okay, cool. Not only visually, but also they're gonna kind of improve the functionality of it and make it more user friendly. It's something that was escalated a lot of times to us in the past years. Another big task is the intercompany, inter-warehouse revamp. Okay, we realize that this is for bigger projects, but when we have multi-company or multi-warehouse, sometimes the transactions could be complex, and there was some bugs, and not everything was working well. So our teams are working on improving this, whether it's for packages, or e-commerce or anything. Okay, so we are attacking all this in one big task.
It's a tricky one.
Yeah, it's a very complex one. Also, the allocation report is something that we have in Odoo for a long time, but we felt that it was limited in the way we could use it. So we want to improve this report. The carrier integrations as well. Of course, our customers work with a lot of different services, and we are trying to have all these different carriers that can be directly integrated with your Odoo database. Bill, maybe I'll let you take the last point, Gilles.
Okay. We are also working on the improvement of the bill matching. So again, there are some nice functionalities, but which can be improved. So I know it's a topic. I don't know really the task in details, but I know it's a topic that is, I think it's even a priority one. I saw it was also possible to now see when you are on the operation type configuring your barcode configurations. Now you can see what will be the impact on what you need to scan, so that it's more user-friendly for people who are not maybe used to change all the configurations. And two nice things are that we can do now landed cost for some specific products. Before it was by transfer, for a receipt or for manufacturing order. Now it will be possible potentially to make it product specific, and something also that many of our international customers ask us for import and export is a CMR document, which is kind of a contract between the buyer, the supplier, and the carrier, and that document would be possible to be printed in Odoo. So we try always, I think, to make more things possible in Odoo, to be able to centralize more and more features and needs of the company inside Odoo, and I think it's going in that direction. So it looks like they still have a lot to do.
Yeah, we skipped the barcode instruction preview. Can you tell us about that?
No, I mentioned
you
it.
did?
So
Okay.
on the operation type, you can change the configurations and see directly on the operation type how it will look like, what you will need to scan depending on the configurations you've made.
Perfect.
And so you can preview it directly in your operation type.
So this is not covering everything. We still have many other tasks. Those are the main ones. We thought that probably we'll ask about this, so we already telling you which ones we're working on. If you have more questions about some of them, don't hesitate to ask us in the Q&A.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say that we always face different requests from the customers, from the partners. We face sometimes things which are more complex than expected. Maybe other priorities will come, so we cannot promise this will come, but we can safely tell you that we are working on all these topics, and there is quite a good chance that some of them, maybe most of them, might appear in the coming versions. If not the next one, maybe the one after. But it's three topics where we want to improve, at least. That's what we can say, as you just said.
Well, thank you guys. It was a pleasure to share all this with you. I hope it wasn't too long, and shoot us with the questions.
Hello back. So we have some questions and we will try to tackle as many as possible. I see one from Ari3Ari. When replenishing from another location but not buying, let's say we have 15 units available on location C for replenishing location A and B, but both location A and B have minimum is equal to 10. Is there any preference? I'm not sure to understand the question. But do you mean which one will get the priority maybe? Well, I suppose in this case, if you trigger all the reordering rules in the same time, if it's by reordering rule, then I suppose the first one will take the full quantity in priority, and then the other. But I'm not really sure I understood well the question. So yeah, maybe I can let Jean-Élie take the next one.
Yes. Okay. So we have a question from LinkedIn. So I don't have the name of the user, but this person is asking, I would like to understand how integrations with Zebra printer work for barcode printing. So you have to know that in Odoo, when you want to directly connect your database to a Zebra printer or any other printer, as a matter of fact, you will have to use what we call the IoT box. Okay, before we had a physical IoT box that you had to pay for, but now we have a virtual IoT box. So feel free to go check the documentation. It's very easy to plug. There is actually an IoT app that will allow you to make the connection between the database and the printer. So it's through the IoT. That's really the trick.
Yeah, and there are, I think, plenty of practical questions you need to check in the documentation. And something you can also check is whether you want to automate the printing from the Zebra printer. In that case, you have some configurations to make on the operation type. So I can maybe just show very quickly in the database. That's not the one I want to go. Okay, so if you go on the operation type, if I go, for example, on the delivery order, you have here an hardware one, and that's where you have some documentation about the IoT app, even though you can still use a physical IoT. And here you define what you want to automatically print when you validate a delivery order. So that's, I think, where you will have the documentation, and you can go from there to move forward with that question.
Okay. You want to take a next question?
Okay. So a question from Thomas Van Est. Is it possible to print QR codes instead of barcodes? I think you can do that only for lot numbers and serial numbers if you configure that in the settings, and that would be then GS1 compliant. Otherwise, I think it's something pretty simple to be done, but that needs to be changed in the code, as far as I know. I don't know if you know more than me about that, Jean-Élie.
Oh, sorry, I was busy.
Okay, reading
the questions.
But yeah, so from what I know, you cannot, with a simple setting, change the type of barcode you have in the database. But for the lots and serial numbers that you produce, you can decide to print that in two-dimensional codes. But I think it's data matrix, actually. I think it's not QR codes, it's data matrix. It's still something else, even if it's 2D. So I think I had to do that for a customer. That's something you can do pretty easily, but you need to change the type of barcode in the code, and that's not something you can do from the settings, if I'm not mistaken.
Because I see a lot of specific questions. Please don't hesitate to ask us questions about the new functionalities, which is kind of the topic of the day. I see also that my colleagues have shared links about the documentation for the IoT, so that's very sweet. Okay, let's check another question. We have one which is in French, but I will translate it. Hello, we have multiple stocks in Odoo. Can we allow our commercials to see the stock availability in their quotes without modifying anything? So I guess here the idea is that you want to have directly an overview of the stock in all the warehouses. Unfortunately, I don't think this is possible from the sales order yet. You can change the sales order in your quote. This way it will check every time the stock, or you can go in the forecast application, the forecast view. Mini stock, that's not gonna work. But here, let's say I go on the stool, I can go here, and in this view, if I had multiple warehouse, I could just go from one to the other. We don't yet have an overview of all the warehouses in one view, I believe.
For the forecasted report, no, but you can still go in your physical inventory and group by product over whole warehouses.
True.
That's not really forecast, and so yeah.
Yeah, so this is maybe still a limitation that we could work on in the future. Let's check what other questions you have.
Yep, maybe I'll take the next one. A question from LinkedIn. Is DHL Post and Parcel Germany on the roadmap for future carrier integration? So we integrate a lot with different platforms, so to be seen if DHL Post and Parcel is itself integrated with platforms like SendCloud. But for that, I guess, as it's really specific for Germany, I suppose having a contact with a salesperson specialized for Germany customers would be ideal. On my side, I don't know. I don't have the answer. Yep.
Okay, maybe let's take a few last questions.
Yep.
Here we have a question from Bertrand Pommier 5612. How do you handle MOQ with a product that you can only buy on a replenishment rule? Okay. So MOQ, the way we handle MOQ has a bit changed since the packaging and the unit was merged during version 19. Now what you will do, the standard practice would be to create a unit which would be, for example, MOQ of 5. And I would put 5, that's the equivalent of 5 units. And now what I will do is go on my product, for example, my chair, and say that this vendor I buy from best vendor with a MOQ of 5. Okay, so now of course I would have to adapt the price, because that would be the price for 5 units. And when I create my reordering rule for best vendor, I don't know if I have the vendor here, I will make sure that I have a multiple. Before it used to be a number, now it's actually a unit here, where I would put MOQ of 5. Okay, so now if, for example, I need to buy 2, the system will automatically ask me. So here I have a forecast of 8. Let's say I have a min of 10, which means right now I have on hand 4, forecast 8. So I need 2 of those, but the system will still directly offer me to buy 5, because he knows that there is a minimum quantity when I order to that supplier. This is the way we handle MOQ today.
Yeah, but I think there are some limitations with the MOQ, because sometimes it's a minimum order quantity across multiple products for one vendor. Sometimes it's a minimum of value over a full purchase order. And over here also what we have to pay attention to is that it's a multiple. So if we need to buy 6, it will say purchase 10, while in this case 6 would be sufficient as compared to the MOQ. So I think what you said is the best, the most usual option we have for the time being, but we are aware also that there are some limitations and some improvement that can still be done to work with MOQ.
Yes, and if you have any feedbacks, please don't hesitate to
That's right.
send them to us. We always appreciate feedback, as we can improve the product. Let's see what other questions we have.
So a question: if your suppliers are located in China or India and your customers are in the USA or Australia, Odoo can manage this workflow without requiring you to stock the products in your own warehouse. So is it just drop shipping? In that case, you can just make a sale order in drop shipping that would generate a delivery between your supplier and your customers, such that it doesn't go through your warehouse. I think it's what the question is asking. So yeah, drop shipping should be the solution in your case, which is something you can directly activate in the setting, and it will activate a route drop shipping, which you can easily use. Either you define it on the product, either on the sale order line.
Okay, so Harry came back to us explaining more his question. I think what he's telling us is that by replenishment priority, I meant, is there any way to prioritize B over A if they both trigger at the same time, taking stock from a location with limited stock for business B is more important than A? So what I understand from your question is that you want to make priorities between different needs, maybe for different location or different companies. I think there would be a possibility maybe to explore the sequences in the routes. This way, there is always the sequences are important in routes, so you could have one route being triggered before another one based on its sequence. Now, usually, when you have a case like this, what you would do is use the reordering rules and keep it manual. This way you know that you have replenishments to be done, and then you can manually, in your replenishment rules, here you could manually choose which one you want which route you want to use at any time. And also you can change things on the I button. So this gives you the flexibility. When there's decisions to be made, you can do it here in the reordering rules. I think that's what I see.
Yeah, it's true. You will have 2 pickings triggered with a quantity of 10 and you have only 15 in stock, and you need to see which one. So maybe based on the removal strategy and maybe playing with the sequence of reordering rules. I think that we need a full use case to check and test to see what's getting triggered in which sequence. Like that, it's a bit difficult, but manual would be easier. Otherwise, I guess we need to play with the sequence, either of the reordering rules, either of the locations. But I guess it's the direction in which we can.
Harry, if you can wait, come to the OXP and we would be happy to discuss with you and cover your case altogether.
Sure.
You want to take a last question?
IoT, that we need some advice. Okay, Odoo, don't miss Odoo. Is there any? Okay.
You want to take this one from...
I answered this one already.
Okay.
I'm okay with it, then it's documentation. This one I'm not sure to understand. If we need to manage inventory by stock code number, how we solve this problem on Odoo? In my case, what do you mean by stock code number, like internal reference? Is it the name of the product? What's the you mean about solving the problem? So I'm not sure to understand the full case, and so yes.
Maybe it's the nomenclature of the barcode. Maybe it's to work with official barcodes.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know. So either we can get more details on the question, otherwise it's maybe difficult to know. Any news for the RFID and how they work? On my side, I didn't follow really much the topic RFID so far. I'm not sure I have seen some task in the pipe over it. So again, if you have feedbacks about it, so send that directly to our support and R&D. That's always very useful for us to see how people on the field have problems, but I'm not sure about the Zira, so sorry, this one I can't...
I think there was a few presentations at the last OXP also about RFID, so don't hesitate to watch them. Maybe you will have an answer on this. We didn't have anything today about RFID.
No, nothing that has been done, I think, in the intermediary versions, and it's not for the moment on the priorities for the next intermediary version from what we know.
Okay, well there's not so many questions. Maybe it's because our presentation was so clear.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Heidi. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here.
I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.